Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jess Marshall podcast. Excited about this week's podcast. My good friend, brother, Darren Greene with the 700 credit game is he's going to hop into the studio and we're going to chop it up and talk about everything from entrepreneurship, facing down adversity, and then we're going to talk a lot about personal credit and business credit. If you're a young entrepreneur, an aspiring entrepreneur, you got to tune in, especially to the last part of the show. Hope you like it.
My wife comes out. She was sleeping. And she said, "What is going on?"
What are you doing, honey?
Yeah, because she was like, "Make it stop," you know? And then next thing she hears me is like, "I'm going to kill you motherfuckers." Like,
God.
yeah, I was pissed.
I don't blame you, man.
They came out first. I said, hey, take it down a notch.
Yeah.
We got to work in the morning, you know? And then they start running their mouth, and that went fucking ballistic.
Just punt like college age.
Yeah, 21 kids that I would have just
all those bros all think they can hang, and
the one kid was like, "Why don't you go shave your head?" And then I heard a girl laugh, and I was like, "Shave my head." I was like, "What the fuck?"
What does that have to do with shit?
I was like, "What the fuck?" Dude?
You're making fun of me because what an idiot,
Yeah.
man.
Like,
people suck. Have you ever noticed when you get into an argument with someone, if you make like a salient point, like
they
point,
personally attack
counterpoint, it always, boom, go personal.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh, okay, so I just beat you in this argument.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know how you roll. When you don't have a point counterpoint to my counterpoint, then you what? You make fun of my ears or whatever.
It takes a lot for me to get pissed. Like,
yeah, you're a very
I haven't
calm,
done
collected
that
guy.
in fucking years. Screaming. It felt good for a second. Then, like, I was talking to my wife. I was like, I'm gonna go talk to him today because I definitely scared the fuck out of him.
Try to bury the hatchet a little bit.
I went from like 0 to like my shirt was off, dude. Like my face changed.
Dude, upstairs
You're
neighbors.
fucking with the wrong motherfucker. And then they were looking down at me and they're like, okay, and shut everything off.
Bet.
Especially when I said, all 18 you motherfuckers, let's go. Wrong motherfucker here.
Let's go,
I had my
man.
fucking sleeves out there like, this dude probably was in prison or something.
Yeah, you had just watched that Joe Rogan, You Gotta Be a Monster video that's going around social right now, right? What does it say?
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
That's fucking right.
And yeah, it's a badass.
That's fucking right, man.
It's badass.
It's, people don't know, man. It's, to have a warrior's mentality. I'm glad a lot of more people don't have that.
Yeah.
It's and you don't need to be like a military guy to have that warrior's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who enlist already have it. There's tons of people who go to policing already have it. My wife, she's a nurse. People who entrepreneurs who start their own businesses, they have a warrior's mentality. You know what I mean? And
we're gonna do whatever it takes to execute and to get where we need to be.
Yeah, and I was talking to my mom last night, and she was saying like about the struggle and new business, and my wife, she left Medical City NICU. She got that job.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Now she's a school nurse.
Yeah.
So she was at the #1 NICU hospital. Kicked ass there, but she got an amazing job at charter school.
Sweet.
They have like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So she's helping, inner city youth.
That's cool.
At a charter school.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like people don't get that. Like one of the big conservative values is school choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an amazing thing. And she has her own office, her own clinic.
Good for her. That's
dude.
awesome.
So she just started this past Monday. Loves it.
That's awesome, man.
Loves it. Like, and Mom's saying, you guys don't need to struggle anymore. I go, I told my mom last night, I was like, I'm going to struggle until I'm fucking done breathing.
Yeah.
I go, breathing's a struggle for me. You know what I mean? And I was like, your daughter, yes, she earned this. Well, that doesn't mean that because, okay, she got her degree and now she got her job.
Right.
That $1 million in the bank account, we can live free.
No.
I was like, did you not struggle?
If
I get it, she's your daughter. You don't want her to struggle, but we're not.
Well, as soon as you start mailing it in, it's over. As soon as you stop striving, it's over.
Become civilized.
You may as well just go get a 2-week paid vacation job, go trade your life away for a clock in, clock out, be done with it type deal.
Yep.
I like what you said though, man. Entrepreneurs do have to have a warrior
You have to.
mentality of burn the ships, right? We're here and we're winning because there's no going back, and I'm not quitting just because it got hard today.
Yeah. Let me phrase this. Successful entrepreneurs have to have a warrior mentality, because the moment when adversity hits, and if they quit, it shows their true nature.
No doubt.
So you're just not cut out for that. So you're the guy who punches the ticket.
Yeah.
Right? Or me telling you you're the guy that punches the ticket maybe lights that spark, but if you quit, you're not a fucking warrior.
Well,
You're
and
a
if
bad
somebody
warrior.
has to light your spark, it's gonna that little dim flame's gonna blow out again.
Sparks are that's motivation.
You got to bring your own juice every day, man. Like if you don't wake up ready to run through a wall to achieve your goals and dreams, they're not really your goals and dreams.
Yeah. I hear so many people talk about, I'm not motivated or motivation. Like, well, fucking motivation comes and goes. It's the days when you're not motivated and you still run through that wall and you still get shit done. You go to the gym, or after here, I got to go run 15 miles. It's fucking 100 degrees out.
It is.
I have to do it. I'm training for a 100-mile race.
Yeah, I know you
fucking
are.
do it. Like, I have to do it, and I don't want to. My feet fucking hurt. My back hurts.
Right.
I'm fucking down 20 pounds.
What do you think David Goggins would tell you?
He wouldn't say anything, you know.
He'd come run it with you?
No, he would. No, he wouldn't say anything, because you can't force someone to be driven, and you're not. When you're driven, you are. Every aspect in your life is fucking about moving forward and breaking walls and getting better, and you can make the most growth on those days when you're not motivated.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I'm the least comfortable, on the days I'm not motivated.
Sure.
That's when the days I'm most successful.
Yeah. You got to look at, hey, I'm not going to be comfortable doing this because it presses against my comfort zone, or it presses my boundaries or whatever. But then you got to look over and go, well, I'd be a hell of a lot more uncomfortable if I was broke and living on the street. And that's like 2 decisions away for most entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
2-3 bad decisions in a row. I mean, things can get bad.
And it can happen quick.
Absolutely. So if your discomfort, your ability to see that the discomfort of being broke is way more uncomfortable than the discomfort of, I got to handle these 10 things that I don't want to fucking deal with, but you just do. I was talking to some of our upper management this week about how cool I think the pandemic has been, because it's shown people's true colors like so fast. It's amazing. So you're gonna get a check from the government, and you're just gonna go sit on your couch and watch Dr. Phil reruns. And there's restaurants that have to stay closed a couple days a week because they can't staff them. And everybody's crying in their beer. But then there's been other people who are like, okay, it's gonna get weird. And I'm going to put the pedal to the metal. And those people who last spring of 2020 were like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not stopping. Those are the people who now are like looking back going, wow, it's been a wild ride these last like 18, 19 months, but I'm not letting anything derail me.
Yeah. I mean, I got a check from the government last year, right before I was on unemployment, right before I started working with Billy. And but there are those people, that I'm not ashamed to say I got some help. And you're exactly right about the pandemic. Everybody looks at it like, what the I look at it like, it's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful, because there's no shroud of mystery anymore on what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
To me, it's pretty blatant. So the common sense is just solidified, and it just, now it's all this group pack thinking with everybody ganging up on people. That's fine.
We're on teams.
Yeah.
We may as well be at a college football game, screaming at each other, cussing each other out, because that's essentially what it's come down to now.
You want to get a bunch of your little groupie left winger, whatever. I mean, left or far left, far right. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are the exact same.
Exactly.
If you're a racist here, you're a racist there. You're the fucking same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But, you know, you want to gang up on me, you're gonna need more fucking people.
Yeah. You better go recruit.
Yeah.
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 Where'd you grow up? Ohio?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So you a LeBron fan? Got you one championship?
Yeah.
2. 1? 2? The Cavs?
One Cavs, yeah.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Are we live right now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
I like to cold open.
Yeah, no, it's
I was trying to get you to say some real like inflammatory shit before you knew we were live, but I couldn't.
well, it was quiet there
I'm
for a
just
second.
fucking with you.
No, that's awesome. We were talking about a lot of good stuff right
Yeah.
now. So, yeah, so I'm from Cleveland, and I actually LeBron went to St. Vincent St. Mary, and I went to Benedictine High School, and that was like our biggest rival. So he was a year older than me.
Didn't they play one of those high school basketball games on ESPN against Benedictine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was at that time I think it was still called Gund Arena in 2003 before
where
they
the Cavs played. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a big time game, and we had a kid named Ryan Powell, similar build to LeBron. He was a senior, LeBron was a junior, and it was like the clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
And we were the two best basketball teams in the state in our division. We were, I think, D3, but we were beating D1 teams left and right. And, I mean, Ryan Powell was good. He was good. And they had that game at Gund Arena, and this is the first time I actually saw LeBron play basketball was that game. I didn't know really the hype. I always read about it in the paper.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on a different level. He was football too.
It's bizarre how much of a man-child he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a force. It's just crazy how mature he was at like 15. You know? He looked like an NBA player when he was 15. That's insane.
I mean, and this is no shitting you. I mean, 100%. Without a doubt, I think he could have gone down as one of the greatest football players ever, too. I don't think so. Like, do I like LeBron? I respect him as far as, I mean, there's things that he's done in the past year or so that I'm not a fan of. You can't take away what he's done for the game. He is without a doubt one of the greatest to ever do it. I was fortunate enough as a kid to see Michael Jordan play too, and I think LeBron is still number 2.
Yeah.
But LeBron might go down as the greatest athlete to ever.
Yeah, I think he might. You know, when the NBA players were on strike that one year, he was talking to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks about rolling out there and showing up and trying out for tight end.
Oh, he would. Yeah.
It's crazy.
He would be the best tight end now. Like when I kid you not, he was running 4.3 4.4s.
I mean,
in high
come
school.
on. How do you even move a frame like that fast? That's fucked up.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And here's another thing outside of championships, so I'll give it to Jordan too, is that, I mean, LeBron has a huge clutch factor too. LeBron I think he's hit more game-winning shots than Jordan ever did. But
really?
Yeah. And LeBron's hit some huge game-winning shots.
Oh, for sure.
But it's the free throw. Jordan and the defense. Jordan never shut it down. Never. There was never a moment where he wasn't on both ends of the floor attacking. And then if you put him at the free throw line, doesn't matter. I mean, I think he was a career upper 80% shooter.
Yeah, he was clutch.
But if you look at, like, in those moments, I mean, he didn't miss.
100%.
So he was better in those moments than he was just casually.
Yeah, and he never had a cramp game or any of that. So most LeBron detractors point at the cramping game or games plural. He did pretty much copyright or trademark that fast break, shot block though.
Yeah.
Like he'd let somebody go up, think they had a dunk or a layup, and then just swat that MF into the third row. It's pretty amazing because all the greats have like a signature Usually it's an offensive move.
Yeah.
And LeBron can do it all.
Yeah.
Dirk has the Dirk, fade away.
Fade away.
Jordan started the fade away.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or perfected it.
Yeah.
I mean, his fadeaway was just unstoppable.
Yeah, I would say he perfected it.
And then Kobe, same deal. His fadeaway was deadly. Kobe was just on another level too.
And I think Kobe's another one.
That's all very tragic stuff right there.
Yeah,
man.
tragic. But he even has an argument.
I agree.
For me, for number 2.
His mentality, man, is,
Yeah.
going on vacation with your family and you're still up at 4:30 or 5 and you're at the gym for 2 hours, then you come do vacation stuff for 3 hours, then you go back to the gym for 2 hours. It's just like,
Yeah.
And you hear, I have people working for me all the time, and it's, oh man, I needed this time off, this well-deserved break. I mean, the greats are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What is time off? Can you translate those words to me? Those don't exist in my, available vocabulary thesaurus. I don't know what time off means.
It doesn't stop. Even David Goggins says this. He goes, it doesn't, you retire as the greatest athlete in the world. It doesn't stop. You don't, I think he was saying, you see so many people after they retire, they were these amazing athletes, and then they retire, they become fat, civilized, and out of shape. And
right.
He's like, it doesn't stop. If you truly have that top 1%, and the top 1%, I'm not talking money. I'm talking people at the pinnacle of their profession.
Right.
The CEOs, Michael Jordan, those guys, Tiger Woods. They have it. It comes down to that mentality. It never stops. And then you look at all the aspects in their life, are pretty successful.
Yeah.
They get up early. Their nutrition is good. They exercise. I'm not saying that they're perfect by any means.
But they're striving for improvement
Yes.
every day. They're not just like, status quo is cool with me.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for beer 30 on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, and you got it, and being able to look at it subjectively, I could say, because a lot of those guys, they're not great husbands. Maybe some of them aren't great fathers, but a lot of people don't realize that's the price that they pay to be as great as they are, and to create a dynasty or a legacy for their family. So there's things. It's just like military guys, especially special operations. Team guys, Green Berets, all the SF community. They give up so much to be that top 1%. They give up being at home with their wife, seeing their kids grow up, seeing them walk. Those are things that they have to give up in order to achieve that greater calling that they have. They believe it. Mm-hmm. That's to me, that's the key, is you got to believe it. And then if you believe it, I think the key to life moving forward is courage. If you have the courage to follow it or to attack it, it's key to life.
Yeah. Got to be bought in, right? Mm-hmm. And go all in. Mm-hmm. And like we said, 10 minutes ago, come hell or high water, we're not going back.
Yeah.
Right? We're going forward, no matter what, even if it's little steps. Because sometimes in business, they are really tiny steps. Mm-hmm. We just keep, stacking a good day on a good day on a good day on a good month on a good year. Mm-hmm. I heard a quote the other day. Most people overestimate what they can do in a few months, and they underestimate what they can do in a few years. Mm-hmm. I pass that along to my team, and that's so true. Staying the course, there's nothing sexy or exciting about that. Sticking with the damn plan, there's nothing fun about that sometimes. But without that perseverance, you may as well just throw in the towel now.
Yeah. That's one of the tragic things in life, is that a lot of people will go through life, and a lot of them have a good life, but they'll go through life never knowing what they're truly capable of, never knowing who they truly are. But they have a great life. They had a great family, sent their kids to school and all this stuff. Outside looking in, you would think yeah, wow, they just lived this tremendous long life, 100 years old, but 100 years of torture. Because I know if I don't find out who I am or what I'm capable of, or being a better man or a better human being, that it's going to bother me.
Is it Tony Robbins, maybe? Might be somebody else you might know, that said that their version of hell is when you die, you meet who you could have been.
Yeah, right.
Man, it's just like, no doubt.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going.
I mean, if you did get to meet who you could have been, I mean, God.
Now imagine when you die and you go to meet that person and you've surpassed.
There you go.
Whatever was written down.
Yep.
I mean, that's how you should live your life. You can't walk through. People say, "Oh, life's so short." No, life's a long time.
Yeah.
It's so short because you keep giving yourself an excuse of not doing or not becoming what you truly want to be. Yes, it's scary. Especially, me as a business owner now, man, it's like you said, those little steps. You can't build. You got to build the foundation, and you can lose everything so quick. So there's no. People get lost on 5 years down the road, or I think that's where they get lost, is they look too far ahead and they're not focused right now.
Yeah, we got to do our best today.
Yeah.
And we got a long-term plan, and we know where we want to be.
Yeah.
And we want to aim really high, because if we miss that and we even come in a little lower than that, that's better than if we set a reasonable goal. Mm-hmm. If you meet a reasonable goal, like this is one thing in Grant Cardone's book, he talks about 10x. Set a really high goal. Mm-hmm. Shoot for that goal. If you miss that goal, you're still hitting higher than you would have hit if you would have set a reasonable goal. Yeah. And it's so true. Mm-hmm. We limit. Goggins talks about this all the time. We limit your mind is trying to kill you pretty much. It's always telling you, no, be safe. No, that's too hard. No, don't get out of bed. Yes, go ahead and eat those Oreos, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And if you're not
fight that.
Yeah, if you're not, me too. It's ice cream for me. If you're not the gatekeeper of your own thoughts, then you become a victim of those thoughts,
That's powerful. Gatekeepers, that's a very important aspect in your life, and I think the health and longevity of your life. I know people who accomplish more, and I don't say accomplish as far as just business, but have seen the world, have done so much at such a young age, and they passed on. And people, I can't imagine living as much life as they have in that short amount of time. And to me, I think that's such a cop-out to say something like that you even think that way. It's hard for me to understand that people aren't in control of their mind, their thoughts, and that they could look at someone else and say, I want what they have, but I can't imagine, doing that, or it confuses me in a way.
Yeah, they set their own they set their own ceiling for themselves, and a lot of times they'll even verbalize it.
Yeah.
No, there's no way I could ever do that. Mm-hmm. God, come on, man. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I've experienced that with people I work out with. I was big into CrossFit there for quite a while, and one of the things I loved about CrossFit, it was like a fucking war. I walked into a CrossFit gym and I met friends I'm still with today, super close. And I met them and it was fucking game on. And it brought something out of me again. And some of those workouts, man, it was, literally you feel like you just went through hell.
Yeah.
And then you have all these people who went with you, And then, people come in and out and they won't do one more rep. Or they're late. I fucking hate people who are late. I don't want to say I hate people. I hate... Life happens. People are late. But when there are situations where, you're making that as an excuse to why you're not moving forward, and then you look at all those little things that you're failing at, well, all those little things that you're failing at are most likely, if you fix those, it's going to keep translating into things being better. You know, you can't expect to, let's stay on the workout side, you can't expect to build muscle if you don't eat, right?
Right.
You can work out all you want, but you're not going to build muscle. You can't expect to lose weight if you keep shoveling pizza.
Right.
Or, I mean, you can't get healthy if you keep doing little unhealthy shit. So it's the little things, it's those little steps in business and life that have the most impact, that mean the most and help build the most character individually, that people just, I don't know if it's maybe...
It's human nature. You know, it is. It's just this, that's too hard. And especially now, because as a society, we're so soft. It's just like...
Why do you think that is?
It's mind-bending. Well, there's another quote. Hard, tough men create good times. Good times create
weak men.
Weak, soft men.
Yep.
Weak, soft men create hard times.
Hard times create hard men.
I mean,
hard men create good times.
So it's cyclical,
right?
And it's 100% what I think. I mean, you have everything you could possibly want on this thing. It didn't used to be. When I first started in contracting, I would drive, pull over, call someone on a on a payphone. I'll be there in 30 minutes. You know, now you don't have to leave your house for a year. You could get booze, food, clothes, people delivered to your house. You wouldn't even have to leave your house. Shoot, this last year, a lot of people, I feel like, used quarantine as an excuse. Well, I'm not supposed to leave my house, man. I left my house every fucking day.
Every day.
Of the pandemic.
Fuck yes. Every fucking day.
I mean, every day.
Yep.
Apparently somewhere along the way I got COVID.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it. Got my blood taken. I have the antibodies. Oh. It's just insane that the propensity for humans just to seek comfort like a heat-seeking missile. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the really successful people, or at least the people who distinguish themselves, are the ones who seek out hard shit to do.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a CrossFit workout, whether it's starting a business, whether it's building a relationship, right? Because if it's easy, it's probably not worthwhile, and if it's worthwhile, it's probably not very easy. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. They just don't.
We text a lot, and a lot of stuff we talk about, like what books we're reading, and you know, we ask each other questions.
Yeah.
And I asked my wife this too. Why do you think society is as soft as it is right now? Why do you think that it's like, when we look at it, like, we're like mind blown? Why do you think? I
just think everything's too readily available and easy. I think it boils down to that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it. Yeah, I'll tell you what I think. I think that's definitely a part of it. I think things like that is better. Technology has bettered our lives without a doubt.
And it's
made us lazy. Yeah,
and it has exponentially improved in the last 10 years. Like if someone hit the planet today and they were here 10 years ago, they'd be like, whoa, what went down? Because technology has just made such monumental advancements. You don't even have to climb on a roof to measure it anymore.
Yeah.
You just go on your computer and there's your measurement. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? You used to get up there with a long tape measure with a tennis ball on the end and throw it down into the gutter,
down the valley.
And make a sketch, and it would take 2 hours, and you're pouring sweat on your pad of paper. I mean, you don't even have to do that anymore, man.
Who used to do that? Travelers? They used to sit out there, adjusters.
Travelers. Farm Bureau did that a lot too.
Oh my God, yeah, Farm Bureau. They were always awesome though to work with. So
they've changed.
Yeah, I've heard.
Changed.
So here's my opinion, and your viewers can take this as they want, but I think
fire it off.
Yeah, I think to me what makes the most sense is to me, being a man means everything. It means everything in the world to me to be a man, and that means I take on responsibilities. I take on that harsh trouble. I take that stuff from my wife when she's going through it. There's a certain responsibility it is to be a man, and to be a man means you have to lead. So if you don't have that, then, I mean, you're not a man. I think we're seeing a generation coming up that grew up without fathers, without men in their lives to help them become men. And to become a man, and they're like all this shit out there, toxic masculinity. Like, first off, a fucking man is going to talk to a woman with respect.
Most definitely.
A fucking man is going to open up the door for her. A fucking man is going to admit his faults. A man is going to speak to his children and be like, he's going to tell them the truth. He's going to teach his son how to treat his sister. He's going to teach his son how to protect his family. All that stuff. That's not toxic masculinity. That is what has got our civilization to where it's at. And we lack, you were saying like, you got out every day during the coronavirus because we as human beings, we have this, it's in our DNA to be social, to interact with each other, and to be a family unit. And I think the family unit in itself has just been deteriorating at a rapid pace, especially these last 20 years. And, you know, this, you can believe what you want, but, you know, it doesn't matter if you're left, right. A family's a family. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It just blows my mind that I see kids nowadays, even adults, like those kids I got into it with. Yeah. You know, like one of the things that they said to me, first things they said, they got verbally loud right away, but they said it's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. Like, everything starts at home, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's the level of respect. I know that if I was loud at 10 o'clock when I was a kid, my mom would have whooped my ass. Mm-hmm. I got spanked. And guess what? It probably happened, and I never did it again. But the kids don't even know that there's certain levels of respect that you just show people. Just walk around in their own world. Everything's about themselves, and no one thinks for themselves anymore. You know, there's all this stuff going on about, like, COVID. You and I talk about this every fucking, look at, like, there's so, like, scientific method was Western civilization's, like, one of their biggest gifts, right? To test,
supposedly,
right? To test hypotheses, to test, right. Look at the data, mm-hmm. and you perform these experiments and whatnot. You get the data, you find out, okay, that works, that doesn't work.
Based on
it doesn't work.
Hard data.
That's truth. I mean,
facts.
If you tell someone the truth now,
yeah, you might get canceled.
You get canceled. You know, I mean, people's lives are, I mean, if you want to go on like the celebrity side, you know, people's lives are ruined, they lose their careers, but we're not living in the truth anymore.
True.
And that's fucking scary.
It is.
That's a scary fucking situation for these kids coming up. And I'm sorry I'm cursing so much, but
Bring it.
It's one of the things that bothers me, and it's one of the things that bothered me as a kid growing up. You know,
this ain't choir practice.
Yeah.
You can drop as many F-bombs as you want.
I had a rough childhood, man. I never met my father.
Yeah.
So
your opinion about the degradation of society comes from experience.
Yeah. Because let me tell you this, and I a couple years ago, I wouldn't have admitted this to you. I would have lied through my fucking teeth about it. But I know what I'm saying to be truth because I grew up without a father. I was fortunate enough that when I got to high school, my best friend, his parents adopted me. So I call him aunt and uncle. I call him mom and dad. I still talk to them this day. I call him mom and dad. So for majority of my life, I didn't have a male father figure. And even Mr. Salvador, he wasn't. I had a wall up. And I know now that they would have done anything for me, but I wasn't comfortable. And I made a lot of stupid fucking mistakes from high school to where I was, even to this day. But a lot of those mistakes, I can relate it back to I wasn't taught how to be a man. You know, I've always handled constructive criticism very well. So even as a kid, if I had a coach, I was a really good baseball player. I had scholarships all over the U.S. I was a great athlete, and I was a great student, 4.0s. So if you told me something that I'm not doing it right or doing it wrong, because I thank my mom for that, but I would just fix it and get better. And then really when I was on my own, like all those little things outside of like the constructive criticism, being honest to people or living your life the right way, doing good deeds and not expecting stuff in return, all that little stuff is taught by strong men.
Mm-hmm.
Strong men teach other boys and young men how to be strong men.
That's why sports are so important.
They're vital.
I mean, it's and if you look at the numbers, participation in organized sports is steadily also declining.
Yes. Phys ed in schools is disappearing.
Yeah.
How can you expect to raise or grow strong men within a community or a country when you're crippling them when they're little?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most people will have moments in their life where, I don't know, maybe it's like a light bulb goes off, or they get to see in an instant who they really are. And some will stop and say, holy shit, and they're disgusted and they change it. Some people just ignore it. I ignored it for a long time. I almost a year ago, right before we did our first podcast, I was going through some really heavy shit then. Heavy. I almost lost my marriage, my wife. We were going through something pretty bad, and it was all on things that I was doing wrong. It was things that I was scared to look at that man in the mirror. And you can be scared in certain things and not scared at others. But if you're scared to face that reflection, who you are, and accept it and change it, if you're scared to do that, then we'll circle back. You're going to never know who you are in life.
Yeah, and that being able to look at yourself in the mirror, not like a narcissist where you're like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
But you like, you know what? I forgive myself. I got love for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm committed to improving mm-hmm. myself. Yep. I'm honest with myself. There's some real freedom that comes when you actually start doing the work to the practical, tangible, like hard work every mm-hmm. day to become a better person. The confidence that builds in you as a person, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, the hardest conversation you'll ever have is the one with yourself.
No doubt.
It's one of my favorite quotes. Yep. And anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. So if you can have that conversation with yourself, you'll realize that was truly the spark that you really needed, because there's nothing that life can throw at you that you're not going to be prepared for, or not going to be. You can still be afraid. You can still fear can be used in a very powerful way or a very detrimental way. But the fear that you have becomes more of a fuel to keep moving forward. But it all starts with that reflection in the mirror.
When you were young, was it baseball coaches and then your best friend's dad? Were those your mentors as a young man, or was it like upperclassmen, teammates?
This is gonna sound, and I need to reach out to him and really tell him this. So one of the first mentors I ever had was actually, it was the first, I'd say, person I looked up to, and his name was Douglas Alford. And we were in middle school together. We were like the top two athletes. We won all the awards. We were always the captains on all the team. And I looked up to him. I never told him this, which I'll tell him to watch this podcast. Yeah. And he has a family now and stuff, but he's doing really well. 8th grade year was a big year for Whitney Young. I was at inner city Cleveland school. Basically, Whitney Young was like, they took all of the smarter kids in the inner city and put them in this school so that, we can go to college or whatever, prepare ourselves. And
like a magnet school,
yeah,
kind of?
Yeah. And they were like this national blue ribbon school. So everyone there, is all the smart inner city kids. And we thrived. But we were really good athletically too. We were track stars, basketball stars, soccer, every sport we played in. Our school was like always there winning city championships or going to the championship. So this little school that we had was facing all the bigger Cleveland public schools and everything. So, and the big thing at the end of 8th grade year was to win Athlete of the Year. And I remember in 6th grade I saw, 7th grade, one of my good friends, Darnell Martinez, won Athlete of the Year. I go, I'm winning that next year. And that means that to win Athlete of the Year, not only do you have to be the best athlete, you have to be the best, a great student, you have to be a good friend. There's that leadership quality, right?
Yeah.
And halfway through the year, man, I had it locked down. I was like, keep doing the right things, right?
Right.
And it's the only, in this, we were in the, our basketball team was so good that year, and we were in the semifinals. We were playing a team called Lincoln West, and the team that made it to the finals was the game before, and we had beat both those teams in the regular season. Coach came in, there was like 50 seconds left, and he says, stay in this room. I do not want you coming out of this room. So I'm the captain, and we're like, okay, coach. And people were like roaring outside, right? It didn't click why he said that to me. It's like, what does it matter if I just pop my head out and see who won so I can tell our team? So me and another friend of mine, his name's Damien, we stepped outside to see who won the game. The last 15 seconds, we were standing out there so we can come back and tell everyone. Coach sees us. He fucking goes irate. He's like, what did I tell you? And I've never, like, all my coaches, I've never done anything like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same thing with Mom. If you don't do this, or you get your ass whipped. So I didn't do those things. I obeyed, right? I didn't at that moment. And of course we play right after them, we lose. Then it made sense.
Yeah.
I had that one tarnish, and I still thought I was going to win Athlete of the Year, but Doug ends up winning. And when he won that, I had a quick burst of jealousy. You're 8 years old, or 8th grade, so that's, 13, 14?
13-ish, yeah.
And then it was very quick, and then I was happy for him. And later on in life, I thought about it more and more and more, and then about a year ago, it really clicked, because now I know who I am, I know what I am, and I know how much that really meant to me. I was glad that I didn't win Athlete of the Year, and it was such a big thing. And then I realized too how much Doug was a big part of me in my athletic career. How much that, every team I ever played on, baseball wise, I was the leader. I set the standard, and it was I talked the way I walked. I didn't come down on kids, but if we were told to practice 3 times a week, guess what? We were doing 6, and I was there with every single one of them because we wanted to be the best. Mm-hmm. Our travel team, we were training crazy. And it was all because of him.
Do you feel like growing up, and even now, you've always been the underdog?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you've always had to outwork everyone to get what you have?
100%, but the underdog, I'm the underdog because, like you said, we set those expectations. I'm the underdog because I look at myself as the underdog. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Mm-hmm. You could say, it doesn't matter to me. Talk your shit. You don't control my life. So I treat myself as the underdog. no one puts a persona or an aura. No one puts that on me. So if you walk around with a certain aura, that's your reflection of yourself. So, I mean, it's truth. Kids, when we were kids, was the sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words will never hurt. Now it's like words are violence. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no, fucking tell them the truth. Like, truth fucking hurts, but it's better to. Oh yeah. It's better to know the truth and know you fucked up and you stuck your finger in a damn socket and it zapped your ass, you know.
Well, that's half the reason we're so soft now.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their nose in that thing, and they're looking at what everybody else is doing with their life and what everybody else believes, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I guess maybe that makes sense. Instead of, I put something on social media the other day, you know, if you're not willing to talk about or defend or even discuss your beliefs, then they're not really your fucking beliefs, man. Which is cool. Like, I mean, whatever, man. Live your life the way you want. But you can't go around and go, oh, yeah, you know, I stand for something. And then when someone challenges you on it, you go, well, you know, no, I don't want to get into an argument with you here. You know, I'm not talking about being ugly to people, but saying, no, you know, I believe this, and this is why. And I respect you for having a different belief than me, but this is what I believe. Yeah. And I'm going to listen to you with an open mind, but this is what I believe, and this is how I live my life. I'm not going to live my life in fear. Yeah. I'm going to, do I wake up with, and do I experience fear? Yes. Do I live my life in fear? Absolutely not.
Yeah. There's a difference. Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you have those people that, like, I look at it's a fucking pack mentality now. And when you take one of those, I would call them sheep, right? So there's three animals in life, right? You have the wolf, the sheep, and the sheepdog. So the sheep, with the pack mentality that, you know, want to go down your throat and attack. Well, if you take one of those sheep out, and then you ask them what they believe in, what do you truly believe or think, and why?
Walk me through it.
Yes, they don't even know. No. They don't even know what they think. They truly think.
They just parrot what other people say.
They hear what other people say. They reflect it on others. And that's another scary thing is that there's people walking around and they're preaching something that they truly don't even believe or think. It's crazy. It's a fantasy world almost.
It is, man. I think that you said it earlier. Fear is super powerful, man. If you use it. I mean, Tom Brady's got serious fear, man. That's why he's so competitive. Yeah. That's why he's got such a chip on his shoulder. That's why he saves, the draft, the year he's drafted. He puts that in every locker. I mean, Jordan had a chip on his shoulder. All the greats, whether they're in business, sports, charities, whatever. They'll manufacture a beef if they have to get an edge. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yep. I mean, you're playing sports as a young guy, where there are times you're like, man, I don't want to run another mile, but you're thinking in your mind, that kid, my rival from that school, he's running this other mile. I got to run this. That's fear based. That's turning fear into fuel. Not fear is now a reason to stop living my life.
Yeah. You can do things like that. You can manifest those things. Like we just said Jordan used to do it all the time, right?
He created beefs with everybody, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And B.J. Armstrong.
Yeah.
Remember from what was that Jordan documentary called?
Yeah,
The Last Dance.
Last Dance. Yeah, he
B.J. Armstrong goes to
the Hornets.
The Hornets.
Yeah, and teaches them the triangle, and he goes off that game, right? And then he kind of gives Jordan a slight, and then Jordan's like, "Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you got to be willing to think for yourself, and you got to be willing to accept when you're wrong." Right? If you're wrong, it's okay.
Own it.
Yeah. I was so hyper sensitive about people liking me as a kid because my family didn't like me. I thought, my father left. I don't think about him to this day, but all the little shit that I did like mattered. It was the reason why I was acting the way I was. So I wanted people to like me. I didn't want to be wrong, you know. So I would say I was almost scared to find out for my own who I really was. So I did the things I was good at, right? I played baseball, went to school, and I didn't get too involved on the things that would start molding me who I am now. And what I mean by that is you can't live your life doing things and expect to move forward, expect to grow, doing things that you're only good at. Was it triple down on your strengths, right? They say triple down on your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
The things that you're great at, you know, no, you got to triple down on your weaknesses. The things that you aren't good at, the things that you're not doing right or whatever it may be, are the things that are going to expose you to what life is really about. And we kind of veered, but it's a scary thing for me that where our kids are, where they're going right now.
Yeah.
And that's
so we got to have some of our own so we can get them trained up.
And that's one of the big things that I see on where my business is going to start to grow. And my wife's in a position now, she's impacting
awesome.
A young me.
That's awesome.
You know, a young me, a young punk, you know, who statistically, you know, wasn't really going to amount to much statistically. But there are people who helped get me here. And it would be a disservice. It would be it would be tragic. It would be like a great tragedy not to make something of myself and my business and make it happen, because I'm the living example of why a great coach is going to take a hard worker over talent any day.
Sure.
I'm the example because I'm talented. I'm a talented individual, and it's been my kryptonite too. It's prevented me from finding who I am. For a long time it did. It's not preventing me now. But we started talking a little bit about, you know, the educational aspect that our kids don't have coming up financially.
Especially about finances, man.
Yeah, that's something that is very motivating to me. I don't even want to say motivating. It's kind of like a fucking fire for me.
Yeah, like a mission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, I've been in business now. I started my company almost 6 months ago.
Yep.
And I haven't done any marketing. I've done it kind of internal. I've been growing it internal, and we're at that point now where we're going to start really expanding. And my biggest goal on my business, outside of being able to help people and teach them about credit and teach them, you know, how to understand at certain points in your life what it's gonna mean to you, is teach them young.
Yeah.
I got to teach parents how to set their kids up, and even teach kids. We got to find a way to get this into the schools.
Absolutely.
It's vital.
Well, it's nuts to me that kids come out of college and they've established zero personal credit. They didn't know any better. Mm-hmm. Can't buy a car, can't do anything without a cosigner, and that's all completely avoidable. When you were young, did you have an entrepreneurial business mind, or when you were young, were you pretty focused on playing ball and wanted to take that to the next level?
Yeah, when I was young, I was really focused on, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. That or boxer. I quit boxing to focus on baseball. And I figured that would just, I would make it, and I wouldn't have to worry. So I was fortunate enough that when the Salvadors adopted me, I was around. He was very successful. He built his own business, Salvador Jewelers. It's where
Awesome.
I got my ring, my
Really?
wife's. Yeah, they do
Good for
high
you. That's
end,
awesome.
custom diamonds, jewelry. They are amazing. And him and Grandpa Salvador built that business. So I was fortunate enough to see that, and I was fortunate enough to have some very successful people that were in my life through knowing the Salvadors. Joe Lacani, Greg Skoda was a big, probably two biggest people I looked up to heavily, still to this day. And they, as successful can be. Hundreds of millions. Their net worth is
crazy.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say.
But that's not where their success is.
Right.
So, I asked Mr. Lacani, since they have a house in Chautauqua, and it's Chautauqua, New York. It's like an old settlement, back in the day, and beautiful 3-story house. And I asked Joe. He told us to call him Joey. So Joey, I go, why are you so successful? Like, what is it? And I remember asking him too, should I do accounting? Should I go into law like you did? And he didn't answer that question. He said, that's going to be for you to figure out. I can't answer that question for you. But he said, I'll tell you this: the difference between a guy who is successful and a guy who isn't is the time he wakes up in the morning. He's like, that's it. Because what's the first thing you do? You wake up, right, and get your day started. So if every successful man I know, and man or woman, I don't relate it to money anymore. I relate it to on how they're moving in life. What are they doing? I look at the actions now, right? So I look at their actions, and all of them. And it's something that now I've started to do. I sleep in 1 or 2 days a week, but I'm up early every morning now. That has changed my life. But that's the start. Is you wake up early, you get your day started right, you make your bed, you brush your teeth, you get a couple little things done to start your day off successful, and then you use that momentum for the carry on the rest of your day.
You bet.
And
that's pretty simple advice.
Right?
Yeah.
And you look in the military, what like you never, a lot of these kids are, going in. I can't even imagine what it's like now. These soft ass kids going in, but not all of them are soft. But there's a lot of soft ones when they start learning of why is it important to make your bed, to fold your laundry, to brush your teeth, to take a shower. Like, why are all those things important? The smallest of smallest things, right? Because you do those. There's an endorphin release when you wake up. You tell yourself, I'm going to do something, and then you do it.
And you do it. Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
There's probably a better high than this in the world, but I'm not sure I've ever experienced it. When feeling productive and accomplished it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It's seriously the best. You got a list of stuff. Some of it you're looking forward to doing, some of it you're not, and you just march through it.
Yeah.
You just get it done, move on. There's whenever any of our sales guys are going through a slump, like, man, I don't know what's going on. I can't close a deal. It's let's make you a list of just things you can do, and let's just get your swag back by just crossing shit off the list. Fun stuff, hard stuff, easy stuff, boring stuff. Knock it all out. When you got to the end of your sports career, is that kind of when you started looking toward business and your options? I know for me, I also grew up wanting to play pro, and once that came to an end, I still really had competitive fire to feed, right? I compete. I'm always competing against someone somewhere. They don't even know it, and I'm competing with them. That's a bit. It's weakness and maybe a strength too, or a strength and maybe a weakness. Is that when the kind of the the entrepreneurial spark started to hit you, or was it a few years after that?
Well, I'll go back for a second. It's only a weakness if you lose it.
Yeah.
If you forget it's there.
That's great.
I think that's the only way that's a weakness. But my entrepreneurial spirit, coming out of, it was always on my mind. Now it took some time to be able to tell myself I was not afraid anymore to try to do it. So I had a little bit of time there where I kind of took some time for myself, and we'll get more into that in the future. And then when I got done with that, it was okay. Now go get your degree. I walked away. So when I went to college, I had a full baseball scholarship at Cleveland State D1, and I was just fucking up. I was partying, I was drinking, I threw it away.
Hey, college girls are hard to turn down, man.
Yeah, it wasn't even the girls.
Yeah, just the partying and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because I had a couple friends, like the Lacanis, their children, and the Skodas, and I was fortunate enough to kind of do some really wild shit as a kid, driving up to Canada as a teenager, fake IDs. I mean, we did everything. I mean, I was 15 years old. Like, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. And like, it would sound like I was lying to you, but it's the God's honest truth. I was 15, 16, VIP, down in New York City. Like, I mean, around like models and stuff. Just crazy shit. And so when I got to college, I thought, just focus on baseball. And that's when kind of life hit me a little bit. I was truly on my own. I didn't have anywhere to stay because I didn't want to go back to the Salvadors. I wanted to do it myself, and I started drinking and lost my scholarship, and so I said, there's one thing that's going to get me right, and I followed that for some time, and I'm fucking grateful for it. And I came back and went back to school, got my degree in accounting and finance.
Had you always been mathematically or financially inclined?
Math, yes.
Really?
Yeah. Now, understanding the math in relationship to finances, no. Just because of just my parents or my mom, paycheck to paycheck. I was on food stamps. I mean, lived a very tough childhood. So financial responsibility was never anything that was taught. I didn't learn it. And credit, when I started back at college, I didn't know shit about it, but I could tell you everything there was about a balance sheet and income statements. I could talk to you about GAAP. I could talk to you about IFRS, which is the International Accounting Standards. We're the only country that uses GAAP. So I can get into that with you, but you want to talk credit and relation to business or personal finances in relationship to that aspect of things and the responsibility that those two play, couldn't tell you a damn thing. And I had bad credit for a while. And it didn't really affect me that much because I was making money. And it pisses me off now when I think about it. Certain things like, you don't care because you're making good money, so you pay a 20% interest rate on your truck. Like you're just fucking throwing away money. But those are the things that I wasn't taught, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I know my work. I'll go out. I'll make the money. If times get tough, I'll do what I have to, and I'll make it through. And so you have that type of mentality already. But now if you can learn what you need to learn and listen to the people you need to listen to their mistakes, share your mistakes. Because maybe this is one of the things that is really crazy is that we don't share our mistakes, right? Because my mistake that I made, that I share, could be vital for someone.
Well, yeah, and the way that we mostly communicate, we were talking about this before we started rolling. Mm-hmm. We don't talk to each other anymore. So the way we communicate now is vastly through social media. And social media for most people is their highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's not, okay, so today, missed my alarm, ate like shit, and missed my workout.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one. Yeah.
Here's a picture of my ass, right?
Yeah, it's not. No one's putting their mistakes on Front Street. Yeah. I think it's one really important part of manhood. It's a big topic today for whatever reason. When you get together with other guys, you know that there's a bond there. Yep. When you can say, man, I'm really struggling with this, or I'm really struggling with this, or I keep making this mistake. Have you ever made that mistake? Or I just solved this problem, and if I would have done this, this, and this, I would never have been in this problem. Take that for what it's worth. Try not to make the same mistake. When you start getting at that level with other guys, that's when you create a real bond. Yeah. And there's some real strength, and that iron is sharpening that iron.
Exactly.
But no one talks about their mistakes, man.
Yeah, it's talking about mistakes is so important in becoming a man, talking with other men too, because I will tell you this because I fucking lived it. I felt it for years, is that men do not want to show their family or their wives any fucking weakness. They want to, if it's in you, it's in you. And what I mean by it's, to be a man means that we have to take on all of that. And when we're going through shit, we need to be able to get rid of it, right? For years, I didn't have anyone to fucking talk to about certain things. One, because I don't trust a lot of people because of how I grew up. So I'm very protective over a lot of shit. And like this conversation we're having right now, there's maybe only a few people I would have this conversation with. There's 5 people that know. There's going to be more people that know now that I was on the brink of fucking divorce a little over a year ago because I was a piece of shit. And a big reason why is because I didn't have other men in my life. It's so important. And it's important for the health of our other relationships that we have, and it's going to help grow. We're going to help grow each other, and then it's going to reflect on the people who come in and out of our lives.
Most definitely.
You know,
when your baseball career came to an end, did you have some PTSD? Were you super bummed?
Yeah, I mean, I still have fucking PTSD over it. The biggest PTSD I have over it is because it was my own undoing. It's not like I got injured. I would be able to live with that. And I'm glad I can't fucking live. I'm glad that I look at it and like, because that moment, that I don't want to say that it was a single moment, but that time frame where I was immature and just a fucking maniac, it molded me into who I am today. Some people get to this mentality or they get to this mental space a lot sooner than I did. Some people take a lot longer than I did. So I don't look at that, but the PTSD is more so that it was my own fuck up.
Sure.
It's because
it's a glaring failure.
Yeah, because I didn't follow what I truly believed. I was listening and doing things that other people were doing around me. I was partying, and I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming myself because I was that weak to do that. So you can, going back, I mean, you like that sheep, you pull them out of the pack and they don't know. Well, I knew what I fucking believed, but I was just following the fucking pack, right? Which makes it worse. But I'm grateful because now I know that what I have in my arsenal, what I have in my tool belt right now, that you put anything in front of me or anyone in front of me, I know that there's very few people that have what I have in my tool belt.
Yeah, you mow it down.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So I'm grateful for it.
You talked earlier about how any coach anywhere would take the hard worker over the insanely talented. As you look to start growing your organization and probably looking for talent, right? Looking for a good culture fit. Do you think it's going to be tough for you if you have an applicant who checks all the boxes and maybe interviews really, really well, but doesn't look like they're going to be a culture fit? Is it going to be hard for you to be like, yeah? Because I'll be fully transparent, man. I have hired people. So I've been like, man, this guy, yeah, he's got some red flags. Yeah, there's some weaknesses, but I can coach him up.
Yep.
We can make this work. And so I ignored the bad culture fit, and it blew up in my face.
Oh yeah, yeah. It. I think that it can, and probably most of the time it will blow up in your fucking face.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore the talented person.
Right.
So there's caveats to that statement.
If you don't hire him, probably going to go work for someone who you're competing against, and they might beat you a few times. Yeah. But it's the long game, right?
Yeah.
Like, I gotta have this team culture, and if I have, somebody who doesn't care about the team, kind of has that only child type mentality, like it's all about me all the time, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's if you find the guy with the talent, who has no other attributes, and I have a kid that has a past, he's a fuck up, but he's a hard worker, right? That underdog per se. I'm gonna take the underdog, but the caveat is when you find that kid who has the talent, but he has some really good attributes too, and you got to be willing to. We have to, as business owners, we have to be willing to set our ego aside and not look at that person across from us as if they were a reflection of us. We got to find who they are. So in order to find out that other person's attributes, you gotta be kind of what's the old cartoon, like Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
gotta be cunning.
You gotta be clever.
Yeah, you gotta be clever. You gotta find a way to get it out of him.
Absolutely.
We can go back to one of our favorite books. I mean, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. You gotta find these ways to interact with, especially people that you're going to bring into your
Gotta see
company.
those true colors.
Yes.
So whatever you got to do to get to reveal those true colors, you got to do.
Yeah, and the people who we may come across some potential hires that really are on the same, have an entrepreneurial spirit, kind of on the same wavelength, and they may never reveal them, and that's okay too. But it's tough as a business owner when you're at that. Because I know your industry. I was in it for a long time. I know the turnover, and I know...
What got you into it originally?
Yes, I was finishing up my last semester in college, and I didn't want to sit at a desk and crunch numbers and be an accountant. I had Brent Skoda. He was a really good high school friend of mine. His dad's Greg Skoda. Had started a roofing company. Said, hey, man, I got a bunch of guys that are making money. They started up in Cleveland because Cleveland had a hailstorm. I think it was 2011. They made a ton of money up there. The profit margin's was crazy up there, I guess. So deductibles were like $500, so much smaller than what they are here, you know?
Dream world.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And materials were cheaper.
Yeah.
I think it was like architectural shingles cost less up there than 3 tabs here. So it was crazy profit margin. But one of my buddies who wrestled at Penn State, Mike Ward, I touched on him earlier. He's not the smartest tool in the shed, right? He's not, but he's a hard worker, state champ wrestler. Fucking tough motherfucker, man. I've been in some scraps with him against odds that you would think is crazy, and watched him maul down some pretty tough individuals. But yeah, I mean, he's one of the toughest kids I ever met, and he was making $13,000 a week, $20,000 a week, and he sent me like pictures of their checks, and I said, okay, I'll leave tonight. I just graduated, and I packed up my car. I had an Acura TL. Drove it down 18 straight hours here, and that's what brought me here. 2012, October 2012. They had a big storm that year, so I think it was a June 6th. And I think it was like August 13th. They had 2 big storms that year.
Yeah, that was the one in like the Lake Highlands area.
And it blasted Plano too. Yep.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's what brought me here. And
working for them or come down here and work for somebody else?
No, I worked for them.
Okay.
It was Legacy Builders, and then I was in the industry until last year, 2020. So January 2020 is when I left. I was over it.
Yeah.
Made tons of money throughout the years.
Right.
I was over it because I got married.
Right.
Wanted to start a family, and I can't. And this goes back to a lot of things like that man in the mirror. You can't. How can I be a husband and want to become a father and preach to my kids about following their dreams and don't let anyone get in the way? Also, on top of that, my wife, what she's been through in her life is, I almost want to say I had a cakewalk almost, and she's about to graduate college. I supported her, and I'm like, this isn't my dream. I know I don't want to do this. That's when the entrepreneurial spirit really started to click at that moment. And
you're making good money. It's kind of fun, you know, when you're helping people get fairly treated by their insurance carrier, but you weren't fulfilled.
Yeah, I wasn't. The job itself was really fun. I met some amazing people.
Yeah.
And then you get into it. I like to get involved with even more stuff than just the roof. I mean, you start getting in like rehabs and build-ons and all these additional things, and so I learned some really cool stuff. Met some great people, but it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Did you know when you stepped away what you wanted to do, or was it kind of a leap of faith?
It was
like I don't know what exactly I want to do, but I do know that I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life.
So this is where that moment where I had to start facing who I was came about. So I quit the insurance restoration business. I was done. I had no idea what I was going to do. COVID hits. Everything shuts down. I started doing like little side jobs. I had tons of clients that, I need gutters and this stuff. So I started doing that to make some money. Then when COVID really hit, everything fucking stopped. And I went on unemployment. I still look back on that, and I still look back on it. When it happened, like last year when we spoke, I was sad. I was disappointed in myself. I was negative about it. Now I look back on it, I'm very positive about it, because I know kind of where I'm at now, what's continuing to go. But I was also going through I was separated, fighting for my marriage. I was fighting for to become a better man, a better husband, a better friend, find out what I wanted to do in life, and I was at fucking rock bottom. I mean, I was in a very bad place. And I crawled out of it step by step. My wife fucking stood by me. Her family stood by me. And I found something that I love. I got introduced into the world of credit.
Yeah. I mean, you are very passionate about it. And that comes across, that translates.
Yeah. It's definitely something I'm very passionate about, because I have an impact to truly change someone's future.
No doubt.
In a way that they dream about, right? And to me, it's a great opportunity. It's a great responsibility, and it brought me. I met you. I met a lot of amazing people. Ryan. I'm very grateful. What rock bottom brought me. And I'm very grateful the pain that I felt. I've never felt as much pain in my. I've been through some pretty crazy things.
So last fall, more pain than losing the baseball scholarship?
Oh yeah. Because I faced who I was too. So I had a pain of losing my wife, disappointing my wife. I had a pain of disappointing her family. I had a pain of all that, and then I had a pain of disappointing myself. And then so the baseball scholarship and all that stuff was just the pain, and I didn't face who I was. So if I faced who I was in that moment in time, then I would have I'd have probably been in the major leagues.
A lot of times when we learn about ourselves is when we're supposed to learn about ourselves.
Agreed.
You know, like, yeah, maybe your life would be different if you had figured it all out then, but maybe that's not what the good Lord wanted you to do with your life.
Yeah, I don't want to live. I'm going to take the path of most resistance in life every time now. And I'm grateful that I was kind of given that road. Now I have to make that road.
Right.
There's a difference. So it's why some people who come from where I come from and they become successful and they continue to be successful is because they continue to stay down that road. They continue to challenge themselves. So I will never get off the path of most resistance. I'm going to stay on that path. And that doesn't mean that good things aren't going to happen. But like you said, when we face that person who has that list of things we were supposed to accomplish and who we were supposed to become, we're going to surpass whatever list they had.
What's that statistic about muscle? If you're not building it, you're losing it, and your muscle goes into atrophy somewhere around like hour 36. So if you're not stretching and pushing and throwing weight around or doing whatever, you start taking steps backwards, and that taking the path of most resistance. I love that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Look what happened during COVID, the shutdown. Everyone stays home, right? They start doing less. Okay.
A lot of people got fat, man. Yeah. Some people got ripped, though.
Yeah. Some adversity, man. Some people always say, okay, I don't care what you throw at me. We're going to find a way. We're going to get through it. But yeah, that when that moment hit, I'm glad that I was able to once I stop like hyperventilating pretty much, like
right?
freaking the fuck out and stop I was, man, it's crazy, like it's your world is, you think it's fucking over and you know you're the cause of it, and at that moment you accept it that you're the reason. But once I gathered my thoughts and I had that, you got to have a moment to pity yourself for a second.
For sure.
And it ended very fucking quickly for me. So I stopped, and then I started doing things that I wasn't doing. Started telling the truth. Started getting up early every morning. I started working out again. I started just all the little things that I wasn't doing. I started doing them.
As a new small business owner, what's your biggest consistent challenge?
The voice, for me, it's the voice in the back of my head that says you did enough. Like, shut it down. The complacency voice.
So not cash flow, not personnel, not getting more business,
no,
but fighting your own mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started slow. I'm doing really well. But I did it this way because in order for me to truly find out if this is something that I'm going to do, I wanted all the struggles of starting a business, all the licensing, all the building it from scratch and all that, I wanted the sole responsibility on that, because if I can get through it and do it and continue to climb the steps, when I start to build and start to bring people in,
you will have experienced every hardship.
Yeah, I fucking did it. There is something to say. This is what drives me fucking crazy about this socialist and communist push, that it's the laborers and they should be the highest. No, the owners. We sacrifice everything to build that business. So I'm a capitalist through and through, and I believe you leave the markets alone, they're going to take care of themselves. But I won't go down that fucking rabbit hole. But I have ownership. And I know that I believe in this. I know that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, because I haven't faced everything yet, but
Yeah, but you're not afraid.
yeah,
Of...
I know after doing so much business credit with people and people who are trying to start their business when they're at those struggles, I know that what I'm doing is right.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest misconception or misnomer is surrounding personal credit? What do you perceive that to be when you talk? Because you talk to a lot of people about their personal credit.
Yeah.
What's the biggest, like, most commonly communicated falsehood?
A lot of people relate credit to the amount of income that they bring in. And I think if you do that, you're going to fucking fail real quick. So I have clients who are millionaires and they have 400 credit score. They have the money, they pay off all their debts, but their credit's still shit. I have clients who are looking to buy their first home. They make $40,000 a year with 800 score. So you can't relate credit to personal credit. I don't relate it so much as what your net worth is.
Okay.
Secondly, once we get past that, I think one of the biggest misconceptions on personal credit is I would say a Google search, because I don't want to say that's a misconception. I think that's a mistake. You can get a lot of great information off the internet, but most of the stuff that's out there, people have a misconception on how many accounts they should have, what types of accounts they should have. They don't realize the importance of credit cards. So it's really understanding, what you need. I would say more so the credit mix, how to build it. Once it builds, how to make it better. And what I mean by make it better is you get more points on a better credit card, right? If you have an American Express and it's $25,000 limit, it's going to be worth more on your credit profile than a $500 card, right? So, but that takes time. So no matter what anyone says, if you're starting to build credit, you can't build your credit you can't get an 800 score tomorrow. That's I think the biggest misconception, because everything out there is fast. Oh, get your credit score and here in 90 days or whatever. No, things can happen that will help do that, but realistically, you got to build a profile that has depth to it. That takes time.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people don't understand the principles of leverage, and that's why maybe if they are pulling in $20,000 a week's $1 million in a year?
Yeah, right.
But if you don't pay your bills, or you're late, or you had something in your past that you don't get taken care of, and you have bad credit, you got a pile of cash in your account, and maybe you can go buy that truck without having to get a loan for it. Do you think there's just because of what we've talked about before, kids don't learn this.
Yeah.
You kind of learn what you know about finances usually from your parents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of one of those situational, I guess, environmental things that, this is why you see kids who come, let's say, from, I don't want to say wealthier families, but families who are very fiscally responsible, and that could be in middle class, upper class, lower class. You can see the same financial responsible people who are very responsible. You see those kids, they have a head start. Mm-hmm. They have a head start, period. And that's not in relationship to what's being passed on. And just the knowledge itself is a big deal. It's a challenge that I think if we don't address, we're setting our kids up for a very tough road. It's tough anyways, right? But I can't remember who said this quote. It was Bruce. I think it was Bruce Lee. He says, "I don't want to hear. Don't buy your kids like." I'm butchering this quote, but it was, "Teach me the things that you haven't been taught. Teach your kids the things you haven't been taught. Don't give them the things that basically you earned, right?
Right.
That they haven't earned. Teach them the things that you didn't know when you were their age." That's very important. And you look at, that's where legacies are built. And that's the downfall of legacies, because we stop doing those little things like that. Credit is such a very important aspect in life today, with all the changes that are going on in the financial institutions, the trading market. I mean, real estate. I mean, look at real estate right now. It's crazy. Credit is so important, and leverage is kind of you're either the puppet, and your credit, you're controlling it, or it's the bank. And it doesn't matter what your range you're in. If you don't know how to leverage, you could have a 700, 800, or 500, and you still not be the puppet master of your own score, right? Because you don't know how to use that good credit. You don't know how to manipulate it at certain times like when you're going into a big purchase, right? If you have a 5-point difference can be a huge thing. Well, how do I get a 5-point difference? If I have if I could do this or I could do that. So learning how to leverage it, especially when you're going into major purchases, is so important.
And just being debt free does not a good credit score make.
Yeah, so that's it.
In fact, that might actually harm your credit score to a degree.
Yeah. I have a lot of clients. And they're like, I pay my cards off to 0 every month, and my score isn't going up. I don't know why. I've never missed a payment. And, well, you're right, because, and I've never really found this as far as literature out there. I think this is just the way it is. It's satisfying kind of the powers that be in the financial world, the lending world, right? So you have your credit, you have the lender, and then the bureaus. Well, if you pay your balance down to 0 every month, no one's getting any interest. So it's not looked on as favorably a 0 balance. So what the bureaus did is they did an average on what the balances were on all the people, what their credit card balances were, people with like 780s to perfect score 850, right? They all kept a 1% to 7% balance on their cards. And you would think, like, well, why is that more valuable? The only thing that I can come up with is that everybody's getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So there may be a time, that could be a very simple thing, is that if you're paying your cards down to 0 every month and you're going into a big purchase, well, on that big card, that $10,000 card, $20,000 card that you have, leave 1% on it. Your score is going to increase. You leveraged it, and then you pay down once you're done with the purchase. So it's little things like that people miss. Why would a balance? They don't pay it off.
What is a pretty common mistake you see small business owners make? They go get a line of credit that's tied to their personal, while they're trying to fund their business. Yeah.
So this is very important, and I truly believe that if I wasn't introduced in this credit industry, that you're right. Like, it opens up when it's supposed to, right? And this is what really solidified me being an entrepreneur, because if I didn't know these things, I'd be making those mistakes. You have to look at your business almost as it's an extension of you, and it gives you ownership, right? If you don't have a true ownership on what you're trying to build, you're going to miss. And one of the biggest things is the financial health. And starting a business, it's 0. Well, how am I going to build this, right? So one of the big common things that they do is they don't build their business. They don't set it up the way it should in order for them to be successful right out the gate. And what I mean by that is, when you set up a business, it should stand on its own. So you got to get incorporated. You got to make sure all your fundability factors are complete. And those are the things that the lenders and banks see before they even get to the financial health of your company. So they're fraud alerts, essentially, right? So do you have a website? How long you been in business? Are you LLC or corporation? Are you on Google? Do you have a business phone number? Do you have a business bank account? All those little things. And then on top of that, do does all of it match with the state licensing? You know, it has to match too. So if they pull up your business account and it has a comma in the name on one and it doesn't on the other, that's fraud to them. It's going to ping. 50% of all denials are just because
the paperwork doesn't match.
It's because the banks think it's fraud.
Crazy.
And it's usually because something doesn't match, like if a phone number doesn't match, if you've updated or changed your name, all that stuff. That is the most important at the beginning. Get that set up right. Get your website, get your EIN, establish DUNS and DUNS. I don't want to get too in depth with that. DUNS is important, and sometimes it's not. But
what's the difference on business and personal? You got a FICO score on personal, and then business you have a Dun & Bradstreet score.
Yeah, so you have they're just like personal credit. You have 3 bureaus. There's still a couple bureaus with the business credit, but on business credit, the only thing that matters is your payment history. Are you paying on time? So it's a lot easier to build business credit quicker, and if you do it right and you establish your fundability factors and you check all those boxes, once you start establishing it, it's going to open up the doors to much larger amounts, right? And it also opens up the doors for not having to personally guarantee.
Yeah.
And what personally guarantee means is using your personal credit for your business. There are some lending products out there. It doesn't matter. Like SBA, you always have a personal guarantee. So when you start getting into special type of lending products, you may not have to personally guarantee. You just use your business. But you have Dun & Bradstreet, which is your Paydex score, Experian, your IntelliScore, you have Equifax. The only thing it reports is, are you paying on time? Now, just like personal credit, personal credit has 5 aspects. Your payment history, credit age, inquiries, mix, and then your utilization. So you have 5 different things you got to pay attention to, right? And one you can't control at all is your age, right? So you just got to let that build over time. Well, you can manipulate that. You can't. A lot of people don't know how to manipulate their business credit. So 100 Paydex score is perfect. 0 to 100 is the credit range in business. Let's say 0 to 850 for personal. Well, in order to establish a higher business credit score is the time that you're paying. So vendor accounts, if you're paying things earlier, the higher your business credit score is going to be. And the moment you establish those accounts and you start paying them, you instantly establish a good Paydex score and a good business credit score. Now, over time, as the depth of your business profile is building, like I was talking with one of my clients a little bit ago, right before I got here, you start establishing. He asked me about, am I getting too many loans and things like that? That's good because you're building your business profile now. They see a $1,000 loan. They see a $10,000. They see a $15,000, a $20,000. Well, when you go and do a big purchase on the business side, let's say you want to buy your own building. Well, and they see that you've had all these larger amounts, it's going to be less risky to them too. Now you manipulate it 1 week early is good, 2 weeks early, 3 weeks early. When you pay on receipt, like on a vendor account, that's how you establish that perfect business credit score.
As you start to develop your business credit and it starts to grow, talk about how valuable it is, especially if you're building a business to sell it, which a lot of young entrepreneurs, they haven't thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
But how much more valuable is a business when you can sell it and it's got a couple of business credit cards attached to it and all of that, as opposed to, hey, I got this business, but these credit cards, they might have my business name on them, but they're all tied to my personal guarantee.
Yep.
That there's some real value there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question too. One of the quickest ways to appreciate the value of your company is to own more parts of the process. And what I mean by that is, like, look at McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's, right, the largest franchisee in the world, right? But most people don't know this, that they have the largest real estate firm there is too. They own the land that their McDonald's goes
They're
on.
in the real estate business,
Yeah.
not the hamburger
Yeah,
business.
they are,
Yeah.
right? So That's the most important thing, is that as you're building your business, make sure that the other aspects that you're building along with it, you're building with it. So when you buy trucks for your business and it's all under your business name, those now depreciative assets, right? I shouldn't have said cars, because cars are the way they depreciate. But let's say credit cards. Now, let's say you have your evaluation of you want to sell your business, it's $10 million, what it's worth, but that's not including all the additional things that you have, whether it's real estate, credit cards. I mean, a $100,000 credit card becomes more than a $100,000 asset. That's major leverage. Not only does it become important if you want to sell your company if you want to get out and retire, but I look at it as buying, absorbing other companies, competition. All right, so if you have your business credit and you establish it and you set it up correctly, to me it's the biggest separator from you and your competition. Most people just don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
You could conceivably, especially if you're in maybe a smaller market, you put together your business credit, grow the business credit, get a line of credit, and then buy your biggest competition.
Yeah.
Just absorb them.
Yeah. I mean, look at the big companies out there, Amazon. They have the ability to people who, let's say, are their companies are very, whatever industry it may be, the successful companies are able to undercut other businesses.
Yeah,
they're able to say, we're going to take a loss for a little while.
Well, because they do own the entire process.
Yes, because people just people think, oh, just a balance sheet or something like that, cash. Well, no, they have other assets.
Right.
Yeah, they may be losing money. Well, write it off.
Well, yeah, and if you own a building and that building depreciates, then you've now lessened your tax exposure.
Yeah. It's not like, understand that there's levels to this. And
big time.
Yes. And when you do it right, the competitive advantage you have is astronomical.
So other than, or in addition to lines of credit, which would make maybe buying materials or, I don't know, acquiring real estate or whatever, what other advantages do you get when you really start to build out your business credit?
It gives you the opportunity to expand. Mm-hmm. Expansion.
And your expansion isn't just then tied to your receivables.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, right, in business, if you want to continue to be successful, you have competitors, right? So you're able to use the additional things that you've built within the business to keep you ahead of the curve, or to keep you pushing that brink, right? There's a reason why like Apple and like Samsung are coming out with these like every year. I couldn't think this phone got any better, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why they have a huge competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. And expanding, I look at it in a way as for the average person. So you and I, we're really the average person. I mean, we're not, we're blue collar, let's say blue collar men who maybe have our own little sadistic thinking of we want to build a legacy or we want to become that 1%, whatever it may be. I just lost my train of thought. So we have that same mindset of being successful with our own business, right? We don't want to fail, but a lot of the average person doesn't know this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's on purpose.
You're just flying by the seat of your. Yeah,
it's on purpose.
Talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Yes, it's 100% on purpose, and this is why I have such a drive to teach it. There's a reason why when you go on Credit Karma or when you Google search, you see all millions of different things. There's a reason why when you go on YouTube, you see all this stuff. People telling you do this, do this, do this, do this, right? Because the bureaus in itself have found a way to monetize the industry. Disputes, let's say like a dispute, is the most profitable aspect of our credit bureaus. They make the most money off their disputes.
Really?
Yes. And second, Right? So when you dispute...
So the game is rigged, folks.
Yes. It's rigged, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's rigged if you only... it's rigged only if you allow it to be.
And only if you don't educate yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're not responsible, it doesn't have to be rigged. But the game isn't set up to make money off the people who are rich, the people or have good credit. I don't want to say rich. The people who have good credit, it's not set up. The banks, lenders, they don't make money off them, right? They make money off the people whose credits are low. So it is designed to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. So when you go on Credit Karma, you see a dispute. One, you click dispute on the internet, you waive your rights. If they don't, they may delete it. It may happen. It does happen. But if they don't delete it, you waive your rights to view the method of verification. What that means is that if they come back and say, hey, we verified this, well, me, knowing that my rights are to say, you need to give me everything that
prove it.
You prove it. I want copies of everything, every conversation you had, every email back and forth, every letter that was sent out. I want copies of every single item. Well, when you click dispute online, what happens? You waive your rights for that. So never dispute online. Secondly is all the credit card offers, all the lending offers that are on these monitoring services.
Yeah.
Credit cards, like good approval odds, right? Well, you get approved for a $200 card, right?
Right.
For someone who's looking to establish...
It's like 30% interest.
30% interest. Some people, when they're rebuilding or building, that's the only card they may be able to get, right? So once you get it, you can't max it out. You got to keep it paid down. But they keep telling you to open up the next one. So before you know, I can't tell you how many profiles I see where I see 10 cards with $200, $150, $300, $400.
Wow, 10?
Yeah, because the bureaus, for every time you click
they're just
that approval,
encouraging that.
They're encouraging it, and they're getting paid for every time that they click it, whether you're approved or denied.
Is there a black and white answer to how many personal credit cards is a good amount or a bad amount or too many or too few?
Is
that subjective depending on all those 5 factors?
I wouldn't say it's subjective. It depends on where you're at in the credit game. Mm-hmm. If you're at the beginning and you're building it, you always want to have a minimum of 2 active revolving credit cards, and then 1 installment. That's important because that's what's going to start establishing it. You never want to go into any type of lending situation, buying a house or let's say buying a house without anything active and open reporting. You may not have any negative. We won't even get into that. Let's say you have a bunch of closed accounts, nothing on there that's actively reporting. Well, a lender's going to look at that and
wonder if you were in prison for a year or something.
It could be that, or the strength of your credit profile is going to decrease. The lender's going to find that more risky, even if you have a perfect history. If you don't have anything active and open, you're losing so many points.
Wow.
So I look at credit cards as the most valuable aspect of a credit profile. Now, everyone starts at some point. The goal is to get a credit card of $2,000 or higher because those are viewed more heavily. Now, once you start getting to these stages, those upper echelons of your cards and things like that, now you got to look at the mix is important. A bank card is much more valuable than like a store credit card.
Okay. So a Nordstrom card is not as valuable as a Wells Fargo or a Capital One Spark card.
Yeah, Spark card's a great business card.
It is.
Yes, so those are viewed. Those are the most valuable aspects to a credit profile. And the reason I say I think credit cards are the most important is because they have the biggest chunk of those 5 pieces that calculate a score. So when you have a credit card, you build payment history. The older it gets, the more valuable it becomes. Longer history of good payments. Then you get the age too. Utilization, that's 30% of your score. Payment history and utilization are 30% and 35% of your score. So 65% of your score is just made up of those 2 items.
Yeah.
So a credit card checks the box on everything, right? Now, when you have a couple good ones, I don't know what the statistics. I haven't looked at the most recent one, but most people 780 plus have 2 cards, typically 5,000 or higher, with 5-year age. Once your accounts start reaching that like 5-year mark, they mature. So it takes you out of a different bucket, you know.
You mentioned earlier that you have a passion for teaching kids about this. Would it be safe to say that one of the best things a parent could do for their kid is maybe when they're a teenager, about the time they get that car, so they got to go fill it up with gas, get the oil changed. How can a parent? What can a parent do? I think I know what you're going to say. I'll let you say it.
Yeah.
But what can a parent do to help their child start out building their personal credit history?
So when they're that young, there's a lot of things that you can.
Is there a good age for that? And if there is, what do you recommend?
Well, I don't have kids yet, but I remember, I'm going to go just based off of my experience of not being taught things like that. I probably started making poor financial decisions very early, like when my mom would give me $1 here and there, I immediately spent it.
Right.
Or I didn't keep track of it. I was actually really good at saving, but I didn't keep track of it. Or my brothers were really good at stealing, but I didn't. I saw the difference, like with my brother Tony when I moved in, is that he had Mr. Salvador opened up a checking account for them when they were young, a savings account. He taught them the importance of just credit, paying your bills on time. So, I mean, 7th, 8th grade, I knew I look back, I was making mistakes. Biggest mistake is to not ask a question.
Right.
And now every client I have, who has kids, I start talking to them about this.
Like, if you have a kid, they're junior, maybe senior in high school, would you put them on or add their name to one of your credit cards?
Yes. Even before that, you can. Yeah. So that's where the authorized user comes into play.
Yeah.
Now, authorized user, huge misconception about it now. There are moments when it's very valuable. There are moments when it's not so valuable.
Does it hurt your credit score as a parent to add an authorized user to your card?
No.
Okay.
Now, it will if they actually use the card and a late payment were to happen, then it could.
Yeah.
So an authorized user is very strategic play. Now, when it comes to your kids, establishing that's one of the greatest things you can do. So you establish them on your cards. They immediately get your age, all that age on their credit, all those years of positive history. They get the limit that's on that credit card. They immediately get a big benefit. So when you're starting to build your children's credit, that's a huge advantage.
So if you did that for your kid when they were 15, they graduate from college and they're 22, they get 7 years of credit history, right? And that age is like you said, is a huge determining factor on your score.
So as their scores start to build, when they go to college, they're going to get better interest rates. If they need private loans, they're going to get better interest rates. They're not going to be behind the 8 ball like I was at the beginning. So because I didn't have any credit, I couldn't take out when you're on full baseball, so you're not allowed to work anywhere.
Yeah.
And they give you a little stipend.
Right.
But it wasn't enough to.
Hard.
I can't
I was
tell you how
on
many
scholarship for a minute too. Can't even buy a pizza on that.
Dude,
sometimes.
I slept in my car a few times in the student parking lot when I first went to college, and so you can't. I mean, if you do end up getting some type of funding, I mean, if you don't address it, then there's not going to be any favorable funding that they're going to get unless you co-sign for them.
Right.
So there's what I want to do, and we were talking about this, is how can we start communicating that to our children, not just at 16, 17. There's from 3 to 6 years old, even and 2, I think maybe it's 2 to 5 is when children are at their most. They have they're absorbing their most amount of information, right? That's when they're starting to learn things the most. That
the formative years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you do? What's a great tool when you want to teach your kids when they're that little?
Yeah, I mean,
toys, books. So that's we were kind of talking about that. I think a book, learning how to communicate this early with them, finding a way to teach them just little things, start driving it in their mind, is going to be a big deal, and that's where I see my business really going.
You're more of a financial expert than I am, so I'll ask you this question. In this climate we're in with all these like entrepreneurial gurus, you see these guys, they got a warehouse full of cars or just whatever it is. I understand the concept behind assets, right? Especially appreciating assets. It has to be the right type of car for it to actually appreciate in value as it gets older. What's going on there?
Well,
a little bit of it has to just be vanity, right?
Well,
you could go buy a bunch of commercial real estate that wasn't pretty and neon yellow, and your assets would be growing. But what's up with that?
The people who are behind that screen that are doing those searches on YouTube and they see that, those guys posting those videos, the person that is doing the searching needs to understand that what they're looking at, that guy pitching that stuff or saying I have all this stuff, he's utilizing, his asset is himself. That's it. So you have to understand that when you go into those situations that those guys are just, they make their money by building their own self-image, their persona.
Brand.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
You're watching a marketing campaign.
It's what it is. It's all it is. And if you have charisma, or if you find a niche, or you do something, it catches, or people just can connect with you. Right. There are people out there that are genuine. You got to find them though, and the only way you're going to find out is if you research it too. So, everybody's looking for the big quick, get rich quick, or they need to. They're trying to, go. What's the term? Or it catches fire and blows up, or
flash in the pan type thing.
And
isn't that what crypto is right now?
There are people literally out there that are just walking around doing stupid things, videotaping it to post on, TikTok,
just to try to make it go viral.
To make it go viral, so they can make money. Now, in our society, it's a fucking shame that that's where we're at in our society. Another shame too is I think how children are being taken advantage of as far as social media. I think there's a lot of young girls out there, and I relate this all back to lack of men, but it's a tough place right now because those are the people that the younger generation are looking up to.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And you can't totally look negative on them because they found a way to make their lives better. But they don't practice it's a facade. It's a facade. Social media sees what they want you to see. You don't see, like you said earlier, you don't see all the truth. You don't see real life.
Bottom line, it's probably not the wisest or most fiscally responsible path forward to have a garage full of Lambos. I mean, that's maybe it looks cool, and maybe it is an asset, but there are better assets to acquire, are there not?
Yeah. I mean, first off, cars are not going to yield you a lot of profit in the future unless you're getting, some of those older cars.
Or unless it's right now and there's no chips, so there are no cars, so you can sell something, especially some of those higher end ones for 20 or 30% over what you paid 2-3 years ago. I've seen some of those stories.
Yeah, I mean, look at.
But that's not going to last.
No, I mean, look at professional athletes after they retire. Most of them are broke within a few years.
Well, a lot of them don't. A lot of them buy those. A lot of them just write a check for them, and you're like, bro, whoa, yo.
Yeah.
I mean, that money could have been growing. Shoot, man, just put it in a mutual fund. I mean,
you could have put it in a standard credit union savings account that yields you absolutely dog shit right now, and you'd be better off. But it all relates back to the educational aspect. And there are going to be people who need to portray a life, and they may be extremely successful. They have all the money to buy those Lambos. But if you look deep into it, it's why I think women who post very provocative things on social media, especially if they're married.
It's all a mirage.
Yeah. I think the reason being is because they are looking for approval. They want to be liked. They want attention. I think it's just attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're one of these gurus, like a career coach type, self-help coach type guys, yeah, you have to portray this certain level of success. Your the services that you offer people, obviously you'll help them with their personal credit. You've developed this business credit template that's extremely effective. I'm living proof of that. But when someone signs on with you, they're signing on with you not just, hey, it's not just to get rid of a couple of bad or dispute a couple of bad things on my credit. It's, hey, I want to go buy this vehicle. I'm gonna shoot Darren a text and ask him, hey, we're gonna be doing this in the next couple of months. What do you recommend? And then you're there as like a financial advisor.
Yeah, you can go into like the coaching aspect, advising aspect, absolutely. I have clients who have good scores, but they want a better score for something better, for better terms, a better product, who have lower scores and need help. So yes, it's not a turnkey thing for me. I know what I missed as a child. I know I can't leave a legacy. That's something that is very important to me. I want to leave a legacy behind for my family. I want my kids and their kids, and to be proud of the Greene last name. So the curse ends with me. It's kind of it's my, I guess, demon, right? And I can help these people in a lot of ways that are in very bad positions to let them know that there's a way to do this. There's a way to get out of it. Teach you how to stay out of it. Teach you how to build it. Make it. I don't want to say build back better, but right. Just kidding. But teach them how to build it even better as time progresses, so that they can.
Well, I don't know, man. I think things are better right now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Maybe they've been built back really well. Small business owner, entrepreneur, or just a person watching this podcast wants to get in touch with you. They want your help with their business credit or personal credit or both. How can they reach you? What email?
Yeah, you can email me directly. It's Darren, DARREN, at 700creditgame.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, shoot me an email. You can contact me on Instagram, but I prefer email. It's sometimes I'm on the phone a lot. So
well, I'm gonna flash your cell phone number.
Yeah, go ahead.
Up at the end of this thing, so you get a bunch of.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate your time.
That was a pleasure being here.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
man. Thanks a bunch. Oh, that was awesome. Darren's a really good dude. I hope you enjoyed that. I really do. I'd love to know what you think about the podcasts. Like and subscribe for sure, and drop a comment below or hit me on my Instagram at Jess from the Northwest. No sponsors on the show. The show is free. The only thing that we ask is that you pass it around and share it if you've gotten something from it, or if you've enjoyed it, or if you've learned something from it. Tell your friends, share it around. We'd appreciate that. We'll see you next time.